In the past few months I made a couple of videos about the ROG Xbox Ally X. One was really focused on my impressions and how I felt about this fantastic machine, and the other one was really aimed in giving you some tips in additional hardware like a casing or even a docking station, right? But today I really wanted to focus on giving you 5 essential tips to enhance your whole setup experience, because the ROG Xbox Ally X is part of a whole breed of handhelds that are not really the handhelds that we know from the past. If we're looking at the Game Boy or the PlayStation Vita, they all shared a almost plug and play focused on gaming experience. It's almost a console experience you have. Currently, and the current generation of handhelds is really focused on giving you a PC-like performance in the palm of your hand. It's got its advantages, but it also had its disadvantages, right? So just imagine yourself, you just got home, you've got your ROG Xbox Ally X in the casing, you take it out of the box, but you're not getting that experience right away that you're looking for, because you realize that this is a PC and not a console experience in the palm of your hand. With a few key settings, I'm going to make your performance boost, improve battery life, simplify the interface as much as possible to resemble a console experience, and therefore make it really feel like a console experience, because this is something you recognize from your Xbox when you start up. Let's make sure you get that right, and let's make sure your setup is good. But before we start, I just remembered I want to give you the best tip as a bonus, and that is patience. The setup is going to take some while. You need to go through some updates on your app. You will notice that, that you do not get the performance or the visuals you want. The OS needs updates, the Armoury crate needs updates, so the bonus tip is have patience. Let's get into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is set AMD Adrenaline Performance Profiles. The AMD software is where the performance actually lies. It's not something that's been thrown into your face. You really need to go to the desktop, go to the applications, and then go to the AMD environment. My recommended settings up until now is that the RSR, the Radeon Super Resolution, turn that on. The anti-lag, turn that on. The Radeon Chill, turn that off, unless you want max battery savings. The GPU scaling should be turned on. The question is why? RSR lets you run games at 720p or 900p and upscale that to 1080p, which helps you boost performance but also save your battery life. This is actually one of the biggest performance boosts I can give you at this point. The second thing is actually a no-brainer, because everybody is looking for that console-like experience. Now, if you boot this thing up, you're booting up a PC, but you actually want to have this default enablement of your Xbox experience, right? So if you're using Game Pass, this is actually a must, and please note you can also do it for your Steam. In the setting, go to compact mode, and then you have the same experience. So set the Xbox to launch in full screen modus. Compact mode, or full screen compact mode, so you have a user interface that actually behaves like the console you need. This gives you a controller-friendly navigation, it gives you bigger UI elements, so actually the tiles that we're used to, and less Windows desktop interaction, which is a bonus when you're having a handheld. It turns the Ally X into something that actually feels like a handheld. Less mouse, less touchscreen, more and quicker gaming. So on the third note, let's talk about the Armoury crate, because the Armoury crate is actually one of the best tools and the overlay you need to really influence your profiles, your performance, your hertz, your frames per second, your resolution, everything. You can manage that very quickly on the fly when you're in game, but when you go to Armoury crate itself, you can set 3 profiles. The silent mode, which can be used for indie or emulation, which requires you then to go maximum to 10 to 12 watt, max battery life, and this is perfect for games like Little Nightmares, Hades, Celeste, Stardew. Saves battery, gives you a huge amount of power to last maybe 4 or 5 hours worth of gaming. The second one is performance mode. This is for the most games that you're going to play. It's 15 to 17 watt and it gives you the best balance between frames per second and battery and resolution. My advice is to always have it in performance mode and not go to turbo mode, because turbo mode actually doesn't really do a lot, but it does do something when you have it docked. Let's get into turbo mode quick. Turbo mode gives you 25 watt plus in terms of power, but it should only be used when plugged in. Also, set the refresh rate to 60 Hz when on battery, use 120 Hz only for lightweight games, and as a super bonus, if you're keeping it docked, put it on turbo mode, go to the Armoury crate and put your battery on max 80%, which will give you enough headroom to play around, because when you're docked in, you're constantly on power, and if you're constantly on power with a 100% battery, it eventually will drain your battery life. So, and this is the fourth one. This is something I already mentioned, but let's see how it works. Battery care mode, limit to 80% when docked. If you play docked a lot, do this immediately. If you're having it docked also for usage, or productivity usage or desktop usage, you want to use it as a PC or gaming, enable battery health mode and limit charging to 80%. Why? Let's get a bit more deeper. Keeping a lithium battery at 100% while plugged in constantly degrades it faster. 80% keeps the battery in healthier life form, so if you use your LIX as a mini desktop or a gaming console really plugged in and docked in, this is essential. So the fifth one is the best resolution and performance settings. So the sweet spot for games in handheld modes is the resolution on 900p. I'm playing actually all my games on 900p. RSR on, TDP to 15 watts. Refresh rate on 60 Hz. When you got it docked, you can upscale this resolution manually to 1080p, TDP to 25 watt, FSR in-game when available. For heavy AAA games, or AAA games, drop to 720p plus RSR for smooth performance. For indie games, run it on 1080p at low wattage and enjoy a long battery life. This balance will give you better thermals, better frames per second, and longer session. So there is still one bonus tip. I gave you one at the beginning, which is purely aimed at, of course, patience to set this up. I also want to give you a bonus tip in disable unnecessary startup apps. This is a mini PC that comes packaged with all the tools, all the apps and all the services you're used to on a regular PC. This means that on one side it's part of your startup routine, on the other side it constantly needs updates in the background. If you're not going to use this as a productivity machine, on one side there are a lot of apps you might reconsider having on this platform. I deinstalled Copilot, for example. I don't need it. I'm not using this per se as a handheld PC or a docked PC. I'm using this as a console and to play games first and foremost. So you can go to the desktop, go to apps, and just like a regular Windows PC, you can deinstall unnecessary launches on startup or even switch them off. Background apps you don't use. This reduces your RAM usage, improves boot time, and makes the system eventually feel a lot snappier. With these 5 very minor changes, very quickly, there are videos out there that spend 20-30 minutes, but with these quick setup essentials, you have transformed your Xbox LIX from a small Windows PC to more or less a true handheld with a gaming console experience. Your battery will be better, your performance will be better, and eventually you will have a better usability. And that's how your device really shines, to be fair. Let me know in the comments, do you want to see a full optimization guide next, so I can really sit down and go through all the profiles, all the reasons and all the implications on the back end? If you guys are looking for that, I'm happy to make it. For now, back to the battlefield. Moment 6 out.